name is Hisham Bhutalia, Secretary General of Botswana Federation of Trade Unions. My name is Hisham Bhutalia, Secretary.
La plaza amaneció con luz de sol en sus farolas y en la avenida un viento azul. Manos se juntaron en la calle y las aceras, la voz se hizo multitud. Balcones y portales se hacen eco de Venga la esperanza, pasa por aquí. Venga de 40, venga de 2000. Formamos parte del movimiento revolucionario mundial.
We are part of the international revolutionary movement, and in that struggle of Africa in the face of racists and against the imperialists, without any hesitation, we will always together with the African peoples. It takes a cynical person to attempt to condemn our support to Angola when there is an invasion against that heroic people by the South African racists, a nation of the world where 3 million white people are oppressing 14 million black people, willing to impose that policy in Rhodesia, and they are doing so, and they want to do so in the entire Black Africa. But the Black Africa will never tolerate that, will never resist that. This underestimation by the imperialists and the reactionaries against peoples is the habit of mercenaries, which are used to do as they please, to march with their tanks and guns against defenseless peoples.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for all workers, trade unionists, friends and members of female peasants, youth and solidarity organizations of the region of Africa and the Middle East. We are gathered today to celebrate May Day through a virtual forum. The pretext is to commemorate the International Workers' Day. The true objective is to raise our voices in support of the just causes and in the defense of the projects that are gathering men and women, particularly in a complex international situation marked by the impact caused by COVID-19 in all walks of life. We miss filled squares and flags and the enthusiasm in the island every May Day. These recent times have demanded enormous sacrifices from the world workers because they are forced to push the economy forward and at the same time to keep up with their historical emancipation struggles and the struggles for social progress. These are difficult times that demand to consolidate our friendship and solidarity bonds, united our peoples, without which it would be impossible to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. We ratify the decision that the support and the friendly hand of Cuba will always be siding up with the countries in need, as was said by our historical leader, Commander-in-Chief Fidel, on May Day 1960, and I quote, "We would like to express to you our faith in the future of the homeland, our faith in the solidarity of brother peoples and the solidarity of all peoples of the world." End of quote. To that immense revolutionaries, we also devote this forum. This was the invincible man that never gave up, remembered by our people and the whole world. And that is the result of the work he led. An example of that was the piece of film that we saw at the beginning of this forum. Internationalism and solidarity are the principles of Cuban Revolution, and evidence of that have been the 57 medical brigades of the Henry Reeve contingent that have taken place or pay their services to more than 40 countries in the world to cope with COVID-19. We now recognize Dr. Santiago Badilla Gonzalez, Secretary General of the National Trade Union of the Health Workers, to share with us the Cuban experience in coping with the COVID-19 and the international support offered in the struggle against that virus. Good morning, esteemed comrades participating in the Central Forum Solidarity Against the Blockade on Cuba. May you receive fraternal greetings from Cubans. We celebrate May Day after the historical celebration of the 8th Congress of the Communist Party of Cuba, which was another overwhelming example of the unshakable decision to move forward with the revolution with the effort of all Cuban patriots. Its agreements are a guide for the work of all workers in the implementation of the profound changes that we intend to carry out as part of the updating of the economic and social model for our socialist development. Cuban workers are aware that we are facing a complex and challenging situation characterized by the criminal, unjustified, and inhuman economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed unilaterally by the government of the United States for more than 60 years. This is the sanction system more unjust, severe, and prolonged ever applied against any country. Particularly in the health sector, this has cost losses worth $198,348,000. This figure is an expression of the suffering of Cuban families. Despite of the efforts made our state looking for alternatives to struggle for life, they have seen their relatives suffer because of lack of access to state-of-the-art technology or medications against cancer, which are owned by the U.S. I will just give you some examples to further illustrate what I'm saying. Medicuba, the company that imports for the national Cuban health, contacted more than 70 U.S. companies to inquire about the possibility of importing medications, equipment, and other inputs. Most of them didn't respond, and 3 said that they were not able to establish links with Cuban entities because of the blockade. Baxter International, we required the arterial and venous pediatric hydrophobic filters and catheters for transitorial hemodialysis for small children, and they refused to enter into this section because of the blockade. Compañía Nutricia, they refused to provide nutritional supplements, particularly for the treatment of nutritional disturbances in children. They claim the enforcement of Title III of the Helms-Burton Act. Avianca Airline, they will not accept goods destined for Cuba. Recently, they delayed the delivery of valproato, which generated losses for the Cuban state. The political will of our state has made it possible for Cuba to show indicators comparable to developed countries, and for us to have a free, universal, accessible health system with an undepletable reserve in our human resources due to their workfulness, patriotism, humanism, and solidarity, both during their training and development. Cuba is an underdeveloped country with scarce economic resources, but today we can show important results in coping with the pandemic. As from the first reports of the COVID-19 cases in the world, we created a temporary commission for the prevention and control of the disease with the design of an intersectorial strategy with the purpose of minimizing the negative effects of the epidemic in the health of the Cuban population and its impact in the economic and social life of the country. Its success has been in the comprehensive work linked to the strengthening of epidemiological surveillance, the organization of medical assistance in all units where we suspect there are patients suffering from the virus, training, diagnosis, assistance, and biosafety for the health personnel has been a crucial factor. This is a result of the political will that it is focused on human beings. I take pride in stressing the 2 elements that consolidate the Cuban strategy to cope with the pandemic. The first has to do with the 94.2% of patients assisted who have recovered, showing the highest rate of ease indicator in Latin America. The second is about the 5 candidate vaccines that will allow us to immunize the entire Cuban population in the course of this year, showing the result of the work of our scientists. Internationalism, since we offer our help, which have been present in all Cubans since the triumph of the revolution as early as the year 1963, when we started the internationalist medical cooperation, when we sent a medical brigade to the Republic of Algeria. Ever since then, more than 400,000 professionals have offered their services in more than 160 countries of Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and Europe. These services are offered to those countries, officially requesting so to the government because they do not have enough personnel during regular situations or through crisis situations, or because they need to offer health assistance to remote areas. Thus, the high impact we have seen in the population assistance. An example of that is the results achieved with the miracle operation. In September 2005, Our Commander-in-Chief proposed the creation of an international contingent specialized in disaster and serious epidemic situations to offer assistance to the U.S. after the passing of Hurricane Katrina through New Orleans. The government of the U.S. refused that assistance, so they would rather have the disaster to go on before accepting our assistance. The contingent adopted the name of Henry Reeve, U.S. brigadier that belonged to the Cuban Liberation Army in the 19th century. Upholding the legacy of the humanistic values and solidarity values, 57 medical brigades of the Henry Reeve International Contingent have cooperated in 40 countries, although the media and reactionary propaganda have tried to minimize their achievements. Our doctors and nurses have taught lessons of humanism, sensitivity, and solidarity. The contingent has been present with more than 16,000 professionals in 62 countries. 28 brigades have coped with the effects of 16 floodings, 8 hurricanes, 8 earthquakes, and 4 epidemics. Particular mention is deserved by the struggle against Ebola virus in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. Today, we have assisted more than 1,355,584 patients, and we have managed to save more than 30,000 lives. Friends, we Cubans continue to uphold the solidarity spirit, which is part of the very essence of our socialist revolution. We thank the numerous solidarity movements supporting Cuba, especially those who proposed the Honorable Nobel Peace Award for our Henry Reeve Brigade. Cuba will continue to offer its main resource, the human resource, to countries requiring our help. We strongly believe that this forum of solidarity will contribute to consolidate the unity, articulation, and coordination in favor of the most noble causes of humanity. United, we shall overcome. Thank you very much. We thank Dr. Santiago Badia. May this forum serve to ratify our appreciation and recognition to the workers of health and science for their contribution to the life of human beings. Brothers, Cuba is a big island that has the honor of counting on the respect and support of many peoples of the world. So we are convinced that a better world is possible. To achieve our goal, it is indispensable for us to concert our efforts to stop the imperialism and their hostile attempts. Along these years, we have been privileged to count on memorable moments. Africa is a bulwark of solidarity with Cuba in the world. Its sympathy and support has always accompanied several generations of Cubans since the very beginning of the revolution until the historical struggles against the genocidal blockade and the crusades against the media warfare of information transnationals. Now we give the floor to Ayuba Waba, President of the Labour Congress of Nigeria, Eunice Epinge, President of the Women's League of the SWAPO, Toussaint Duteli, Secretary General of the Trade Union Federation of Botswana, Chenchi Chimotuwendi, for President of the Friendship Association with Zimbabwe, and Silvere Boswa, Secretary General of the Communist Party of Congo and President of the Friendship Association Congo-Cuba.
Together we shall win. The Nigerian Labour Congress joined millions of workers and progressive persons and movements all over the world to celebrate with the Cuban Workers' Federation, CTC, and its trade union branches on the 82nd anniversary of the CTC, we will also celebrate with the Cuban people on the commemoration of the 8th Congress of the Cuban Communist Party, the 60th anniversary of the victory of the Bay of Pique, and 60th anniversary of the Cuban Institute for Friendship with the People. The story of Cuba and her people is an iconic testimony of renaissance, resilience, resourcefulness, and results which optimize the triumph of the human spirit when it strives for social justice and the common good. Despite the array of extreme cruel economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed on the Cuban people by the government of the United States of America for about 6 decades, the Cuban people and the government have managed to keep their heads above the waters. The Cuban people have shown that a people united can never be defeated. The miracle of the Cuban transformation into a socialist society, prosperous and sustainable, is as a result of the commitment of the working people of Cuba to the common good. Contrary to the dogmatic of neoliberal proponents, the huge milestone in the Cuban education, health, and service sector, despite crippling sanctions, shows that labor is the most critical component in the factors of production. It also demonstrates that where there is the will, there will always be a way. The Nigerian Labour Congress and all the working people of Nigeria, and indeed Africans, celebrate the gifts of will and way extended to our continent by Cuba. We remembered with a huge debt of gratitude the sweat and blood shed by Cuban people for Mother Africa. In the heydays of colonial rule, Cuba did not sit on the fence. Cuba was vocal and actively involved in ridding our continent of foreign economic adventures and opportunities. Cuba sent her soldiers and skilled workforce at its own expense to Angola, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. Cuba supports for the African National Congress remain a watershed in apartheid revolution struggle in South Africa. Those are only a few historic milestones of Cuban Pan-Africanism. During the insurgency of Ebola in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone, Cuba, through the Henry Reeve International Medical Brigade, a world-class organization truly deserving of the 2021 Nobel Prize, sent her medical personnel and medical kits to contain the spread of Ebola virus on the continent. As the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the globe, and many countries of the world got overwhelmed by their own public health crisis, Cuba rose above its own needs and provided medical assistance to many countries of the world, including some countries complicit in the sanctions against Cuba. There is no better way to demonstrate the diplomacy of love, compassion, care, solidarity, and friendship, virtue that the world needs now more than ever. The Cuban working people and government have proved that the ruins of neoliberal tendencies can only be halted by a human-centered social heart that puts the people above profit. It is this beautiful heart of Cuba that we celebrate on this International Workers' Day, a heart that sees unity as one of the entity united by a common challenge of lack and scarred by common grip of greed. We celebrate the heart of Cuba, which reaches out to without asking for anything in return, exports kindness without expurgating riches, embraces without a dagger behind, and makes the bold statement that together we shall win. In resonance with the message of winning together, we call on all countries of the world to prevail on governments of the United States of America to remove all economic, commercial, and financial embargoes placed on Cuba, including the over 240 unilateral cohesive measures imposed in the dying days of President Donald Trump's presidency. Those sanctions have greatly undermined the fullest potential of the working people of Cuba and has imposed a great deal of suffering on their families. Enough certainly is enough. Let us make 2021 the year of ending the witch hunt against the people of Cuba. Together we shall win. Solidarity with the people of Cuba. Thank you very much.
Comrades of the Directorate of International Relations of Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba, the Cuban women and Cuban people, I send you revolutionary greetings from SWAPO Party Women Council, and the African Women's Organization. We congratulate Comrade Miguel Diaz-Canel for having been elected the first Secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba and the President of the Republic of Cuba. We wish him strength and wisdom to take part in the country to the great heights. We thank you for inviting me to participate in the Solidarity event, specifically to talk on how sanctions from one country to another can affect women in their family, social, and professional development. Sanctions have a devastating impact on the target country's economy and political stability. It reduces more women's economic, political, and social status because of the role the women play in the family, in society, and the country at large. Sanctions are also fundamental obstacle to women's development and realization of their aspiration for progress and well-being. It affects women's professional status and activities. It also limits women's rights to promote economic prosperity, governance, and social equality. We therefore demand an immediate end to the United States of America's blockade to Cuba as it punishes women and their families. We urge the new United States of America's leadership to consider and act honorably to lift these sanctions. We reaffirm our solidarity with the people of Cuba and the women in particular. I thank you.
Fraternal greetings to the leadership of the Cuban Workers' Federation and its affiliates during this celebration of the Day of the International Solidarity. As DFT, we join the Cuban community in celebrating, amongst others, the human rights endeavors that we want, and in also remembering the old days and all those who have been part of getting us to where we are today. DFT and its affiliates extends as well our fraternal greetings as we celebrate today's forum, which is the International Forum of Solidarity with Cuba, under the slogan of Together We Shall Win. We are very mindful and very grateful that we are able to be part of this forum as we believe in the principles of solidarity and togetherness and unity as workers across the globe. One of the principles of the Ghana Federation of Trade Unions that we adhere to is the promotion of the human rights as well as workers' rights across the international globe. We would like to take part in this forum and to wish the Cuban community well as we start the forum, and also to engage and also to become friends and share experiences on human rights issues and human rights violations. We would like to also announce that as a federation we denounce the blockages that have been imposed by the United States of America against the citizens of Cuba, as we hope that these blockages are removed because they hinder economic progress and what workers of Cuba would achieve and attain if there were no blockages. We believe as well that this is the main reason that affects the economic growth of Cuba, and having been friends and allies with the citizens of Cuba and benefited so much as a country, we stand in solidarity with the workers and believe that through our initiatives and through our solidarity efforts, we'll be able to achieve much more than we can as units. Let us stand together, let us share experiences during the forum, let us stand in solidarity with one another, let us become a united front against all forms of human rights violations. Thank you.
My name is Chen Chimutengwende. I'm a senator, member of parliament of the Zimbabwe parliament, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Zimbabwe-Cuba Friendship Association, of which I'm the patron, and also the Zimbabwe Parliamentary Forum, Zimbabwe-Cuba Parliamentary Forum, of which I'm the chairman. We strongly wish to join the international community who demand the end of the blockade in Cuba. We have experience in Zimbabwe with sanctions, which are very nasty and cause a lot of problem for our people. And we know that in Cuba it must be more severe than ours. And we give unreserved solidarity to Cuba. Thank you.
Les amis de Cuba et les travailleurs.
Cuban friends and workers from Cuba, may you receive from the Democratic Republic of Congo, the country of Patrice Lumumba, our sincere and fraternal greetings and of eternal love towards your homeland. What is that which Cuba reminds us of in this important day? We are reminded of the blood alliance with Africa, because the Cuban blood was shed for the liberation of Angola, Namibia, and other African countries. The Cuban blood was shed in Congo to teach the Congolese revolutionaries on May 17th, when the victory was achieved thanks to that blood that was shed, on the day when imperialism was defeated. We have also a blood alliance with Cuba. The Cuban blood was shed for the decolonization of Africa. Fidel Castro, Commander-in-Chief, is a symbol for us. We love Fidel. We will always struggle against the blockade. We will always struggle against barbarism on the part of the U.S., against Cuba. We love Cuba, and we will side up with Cuba always. We love the Cuban people. This is an eternal love. Country or death, we shall overcome.
Para este 1 de mayo, los trabajadores de la industria biotecnológica.
For this May Day, the biotechnology workers uphold our commitment to continue working for the well-being and health of the Cuban people, despite the economic blockade, to develop new pharmaceuticals and the big-scale production of our candidate vaccines against COVID-19. Our products are sovereignty and the strengths of a country, because we all united, we can build Cuba.
Muchas gracias por los mensajes.
Thank you very much for your messages of condemnation against the blockade. This is an extraterritorial policy in order to suffocate Cuban revolution. A wide movement of solidarity with Cuba has been deployed, made up by representatives of Solidarity, trade union, peaceful women organizations, and other political forces. In opposition to the unilateral sanctions against Cuba, denouncing the effects of this blockade, and they raise their voices to cry, Cuba is not alone. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. This time, we give the floor to Suelma Beirut, Minister of Social Affairs of the Sahrawi Arab Republic. Then Taleb Ali Salem, member of the International Relations Secretariat of the Sahrawi Democratic Republic. Ali Al-Kahatib, chairman of the League of Palestine Alumni. And Wafika Ibrahim, member of the Arab Latin American Solidarity Association. Hello, Cuba. From the Sahrawi refugee camps and from the Democratic Sahrawi Republic, I would like to convey our solidarity with the Cuban people in this international forum of solidarity with Cuba. The contributions of Cuba to humankind, even though it was harassed by this inhumane blockade, has done as Prometheus, taking fire to the human beings. Solidarity and abnegation of Cuba by providing human resources to many countries victims of injustice in remote places. The contribution in the important area of medicine, we can say that today there are Cuban doctors in many countries. The unconditional support of the African countries that were affected by the Ebola crisis and other countries now that are fighting against the coronavirus pandemic, specifically in Europe, this has led to be internationally recognized. Cuba will always be a reference for the history of the humankind. In spite of being distant, the call of many underdeveloped countries have been heard by Cuba. In our continent, Africa, which had been subject to long periods of colonialism, has been one of the main destinations of solidarity and help by Cuba from the very beginning. Just to give you an example of the solidarity, we could just say the War of the Sand in 1963, waged by Morocco to conquest parts of Algeria, which was still fighting for its independence. Cuba sent a military contingent to provide assistance to a sister nation. Also, thanks to the generous Cuban help, where Cuban lives were given to defend African countries that were victims of the apartheid, Angola was able to attain its independence. Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, and Congo, and some other countries of African, Asian, Latin America have known Cuban solidarity in times of need. In Western Sahara, after the sad Madrid agreements and the invasion and the cruel abandonment by the abdication of Spain, Sahrawi have been subject to the harsh times of war and exile. But thanks to the Cuban aid, specifically in the medical field and education, we have been able to face the constant challenges of living in refugees camps. In the political sphere, Cuba is amongst the first countries which recognized the Democratic Sahrawi Republic and has always been defending our just cause in every international forum. Thank you, Cuba, for being such a beacon, lightening the hope of many countries of the world. And we will need endless time to express our appreciation. There are no words to express our appreciation, our gratitude to Cuba by many countries of the world, because Cuba has been an example, homeland or death, we shall overcome. Thank you very much.
Camaradas, compañeros y compañeras, desde la Unión de Jóvenes de la República Árabe Saharaui Democrática, queremos mandaros nuestro más caluroso saludo. En el marco del Día Internacional de los Trabajadores y en esta fecha tan especial y simbólica para los obreros, queremos mostrar nuestra solidaridad con el pueblo, con la revolución, con los obreros y con los frentes juveniles cubanos. Y también queremos aprovechar esta oportunidad que nos habéis brindado para mandar nuevamente nuestros agradecimientos al pueblo y a la revolución de Cuba por su sincero y eterno apoyo a nuestro pueblo y a nuestra revolución. Mi país, el Sáhara Occidental, es considerado la última colonia en África, ya que desde el año 1976 llevamos sufriendo una brutal invasión imperialista por parte del Reino de Marruecos. En estos 46 años de lucha que lleva mi pueblo, hemos sufrido el exilio, hemos sufrido los bombardeos, hemos sufrido la guerra, hemos sufrido todo tipo de violaciones de derechos humanos por parte de la ocupación marroquí, siempre apoyada por Francia y Estados Unidos. Pero a pesar de ello, gracias al apoyo de los pueblos hermanos, como es el pueblo cubano, nuestro pueblo ha podido resistir y nuestro pueblo a día de hoy y 46 años después sigue enarbolando esa lucha por recuperar sus tierras ocupadas. Nuestra revolución vive a día de hoy uno de sus capítulos más importantes, ya que nos encontramos en una lucha armada contra el Reino de Marruecos, que es la potencia imperialista que ocupa nuestras tierras. Decía el gran Fidel que una revolución solo puede ser hija de la cultura y de las ideas. Creo que hoy más que nunca debemos de fortalecer esa cultura revolucionaria para unir a los pueblos sobre una misma idea, la idea de un mundo mejor. Desde la UJ Sario os mandamos nuestros mejores deseos y os invitamos a seguir alumbrando el camino de la revolución que siguen todos los pueblos libres del mundo. Viva la revolución, viva Cuba y viva el Sáhara libre.
La Liga de los Graduados Palestinos.
The League of the Palestine Workers and the Friendship Institute in Lebanon know very well Cuba's reality. What graduates have been able to experience Cuba's daily routine, daily life, and they know quite well how the U.S. blockade impacts on Cuba's life. Cuban people has fought throughout its history against enemies. First, colonialism, then imperialism, and after dictatorships. Finally, it achieved its victory, and in January 1st, 1959, the Cuban Revolution triumphed. Imperialism attempted to continue interfering in Cuba's internal affairs. Then in 1961, Bay of Pigs happened, and today we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of against the imperialistic invasion. We support the agreements adopted by the 8th Congress of the Cuban Communist Party, and we are about to celebrate May Day, International Workers' Day. We Palestinians ratify once again our solidarity with the Cuban Revolution, with the Cuban people, and we condemn the unfair and criminal U.S. blockade against Cuba. We say, united we shall overcome.
Un saludo a nuestros hermanos cubanos.
Greetings to our Cuban friends from this remote homeland from the Arab world. Together we will make our internationalist solidarity shall prevail despite all the odds. We love each other from the Solidarity Association between Latin America and the Arab world named Jose Marti. We joined the homage paid to those who sustain life and defend life with their devotion and dedication. Those are the stars of our times, and thanks to them we will live and we shall overcome. Obviously, the enemies of Cuba have underestimated the capacity of these great workful people capable of achieving so much to defend the attainments of the Cuban Revolution in science, health, culture, in defense, human ethics. We will give our own life for that. From the Arab world, despite the divisions and problems, despite the Zionist occupation, despite the hardships of our working class, we say that against terrorism and against imperialism and against Zionism, we will continue to be guided by the workers of Cuba who have been able to keep on united to defend their homeland and defend the revolution. Long live May Day, long live the Cuban Revolution, long live Fidel, and long live the Cuban people.
La plaza amaneció con luz de sol en sus farolas y en la avenida un viento azul. Manos se juntaron en la calle y las aceras, la voz se hizo multitud.
Balcones y portales se hacen eco de banderas, un tiempo nuevo abraza el porvenir.
Multicolor la marcha de gigantes que se empeñan,
semilla imprescindible en su raíz.
Mambisa y soberana
Mambisa y soberana
la isla que precisa,
la isla que precisa, erguida frente al temporal. Ay, nos va retando al mar. Mambisa y soberana la isla que precisa andar, erguida frente al temporal. Ay, nos va retando al mar.
Muchas gracias a nuestros hermanos.
Thank you very much to our African and Arab brothers and sisters. we also send our greetings to the Palestinian and Saharan brothers and sisters. The conflict between Palestine and Israel is sharpening. We convey our commitment to the Palestinian people and support them until the final victory. Our support to the Saharan fighters are call for unity and our identification with the values and goals they defend. Cuba reaffirms its unshakable solidarity with the Saharan people and the support for a search for a final solution to the Western Sahara conflict that will allow that people to exercise their free determination and to live in peace in its own country. Friends, we invite you to continue in this forum. We convey our greetings to all the organizations and countries connected with us, to the trade union federations of Botswana and Syria, and those who have been connected through social networks. 11 by Njani from the World Trade Union of South Africa. They posted, let's put an end to the economic, commercial, and financial blockade against the island. Maria de la Peña, may you receive a strong embrace from Guinea-Bissau. The Fundación País from Mexico. Long live the World Trade Union Federation. No to the blockade against Cuba. Wafi Ibrahim convey his greetings, saying, from the Arab world, proletariat greetings to all Cuban workers in this May Day. Long live Fidel forever. Long live the Socialist Cuban Revolution. We also receive greetings from Zambia, Nigeria, Algeria, Kenya, Palestine, Guinea-Bissau, Ghana, the Congo's Democratic Republic, Botswana, and South Africa. Although the present conditions have prevented us from filling our squares, we wanted to remember through images the participation of African and Middle East citizens in our May Day parades. In the hope of overcoming the pandemic and re-encounter them in our sovereign country, let us respond with greater unity to the world class in the world, more actions in favor of world peace. That will make the working class ever bigger. Now we recognize Daniel Rugarama, President of the Pan-African Movement of the Association of Friendship between Uganda and Cuba. Hortense Kindokila, member of the National Council of the Organization of Farmers and Agricultural Workers of Congo. Eusebio Rasul from the Association of Friendship of Cuba. Kesselhem Cannon, President of Association of Liberia, and Anthony Joba, Secretary General of the Congress of Trade Unions of Ghana.
Dear comrades, in the revolution or the Cuba, members of ECAP, and our dear friends all over the globe, as we celebrate and remember our senior comrade, Air Commandant Fidel Castro Ruz, and as we celebrate and remember the great revolution that has had the Cuban people thrive on behalf of the Pan-African Movement Uganda and on behalf of the Cuba East Africa Friendship Association and Solidarity, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Cuban Revolution. I want to reiterate the position of the two bodies, the Pan-African Movement and the Cuba Africa Solidarity, that we condemn in the strongest terms the economic blockade that has been imposed on Cuba for the last almost 6 decades. We demand for immediate and total removal of the economic blockade and vacating of the territory Guantanamo Bay, which squarely belongs to Cuba. We salute the Cuban Revolution for the extension of its support during COVID to even liberate the people of Italy and Europe. Their contribution in the health sector on the Latin American part of the continent, and we also recognize and salute them for their support on the African continent. We remember vividly the Battle of Cuita Cannavaro, and at the same time, we know their contribution to the dismissal of apartheid and the liberation of the African continent. We call upon all the friendly forces world over to support the cause of lifting of the economic embargo, as we do in the Pan-African movement, and we are sure that the motto is not "we will win," as has been organized. It is my contention and submission that we have already won. I thank you so much, dear comrades, and I look forward to a time when we shall be physically in Havana to drum up the support for the total emancipation of the Cuban people. I thank you once again.
Bonjour, je suis Madame Dolores Hortense Nkotila-Tombo. Je suis membre de la CCI.
Good morning. I am a member of the Association of Western Africa Farmers, and I have come here to offer my solidarity to the Cuban people. The Cuban people have made great efforts recognized all over the world. These are problems that also exist in Africa. In Africa, we are forced to redouble our efforts in order to provide food to the population. This effort is the same effort that is being done by the Cuban people to feed the people. We Africans support the efforts carried out by Cubans. Therefore, we are together with them. This is a very good comeback. The struggle is ours, and the victory will also be ours. We are in solidarity with the Cuban people. Long live the Cuban people for all the efforts they are making. Africa supports you. Thank you very much. This is the message from Central and Western Africa. Thank you.
El bloqueo de los sucesivos gobiernos de los Estados Unidos de América.
After half a century of this has been one of the greatest violations of human rights that I have ever seen. These cause damages to this small Caribbean nation. The esteemed comrades, Cuba has contributed to the independence, health care, and other important contributions for humankind's development for all Africa. We friends from Guinea-Bissau would like to congratulate President Diaz-Canel, the Cuban Communist Party, and the Cuban people. Stop the blockade, stop the interventions of the United States and its administrations. Long live the Cuban Revolution, homeland or death, we shall overcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Kesali Kane, the president of the Liberia-Cuba Friendship Organization. On behalf of our organization, we want to extend our warmest felicitation to the government people of the Republic of Cuba on the celebration of May 1st, happen to be the International Labor Day. We want to say thank you, and we also want to reaffirm and confirm that our friendship with Cuba, our solidarity friendship with Cuba continue to remain strong, and we want to confirm that we will remain, as a solidarity group to Cuba as far as our friendship group is concerned. In this interim event, I want to use this time to also condemn the blockade against the peaceful people of Cuba, because this blockade or this session happened to be the longest as far as human history can record. Thank you very much.
My name is Anthony Ba. I'm the Secretary General of Trade Union Congress of Ghana. On this special occasion of International Workers' Day of Solidarity, May Day, on behalf of the leadership and members of the Trade Union Congress, I'm sending this solidarity message to our brothers and sisters in Cuba to assure you of our support and continuous cooperation in the period ahead. The good people of Cuba have been a great source of inspiration to the people of Ghana. For nearly 60 years, after the United States placed a trade embargo on Cuba, the sovereign people of Cuba have endured economic hardship because they want to exercise their natural right of self-determination. We call on President Joe Biden to end this unnecessary blockade. Cuba has provided technical support in various sectors to Ghana and to Africa. Cuban doctors have worked in all regions of Ghana and Africa and helped to save lives. We pay special tribute to all those Cuban doctors and experts who have sacrificed for Africa. We are grateful to Ambassador Gonzalez and all the staff of Cuban Embassy in Ghana for initiating this special relationship between the working people of Ghana and the working people of Cuba. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are unable to join you in Cuba this year to celebrate May Day. We wish the good people of Cuba a very happy May Day. We hope to join you next year in Cuba to celebrate May Day. Long live Ghana, long live Cuba, and long live Ghana-Cuba cooperation.
We want to take the occasion of this forum where solidarity, it's the main goal here, to express our condolences to the Israeli people for the unfortunate human disaster at Mount Meron, which are made extensive to the relatives and friends of the victims. Dear comrades, as you know, and as been mentioned by some of you, this celebration has been preceded by the historical celebration of the 8th Congress of the Communist Party of Cuba, which has turned into another overwhelming evidence of the unshakable decision to move ahead with the revolution with the concerted effort of all Cuban patriots. Its agreements are the guide that is for all the actions of our workers in the profound changes that we envisage to implement as part of the updating of the economic and socialist development model. We have defined this as a Congress of continuity with the new leadership at the helm of the revolution. We will keep on forward, always encouraged by the profound conviction that only those who struggle, resist, and never give up have the right to victory. We have intended for this event to be a real contribution to cope against the offensive of imperialism against the left-wing forces of the region and the strengthening of the solidarity with the just causes defended by the peoples. We call upon you to express your absolute rejection against the hostile policy of the U.S. government, tightened through the 243 measures adopted under the Donald Trump administration with which they have reinforced the illegal economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed against Cuba for more than 60 years, with a cost for the Cuban economy in 2020 of $5.570 billion. The U.S. have ignored with arrogance and disregard the 28 resolutions adopted by the UN General Assembly condemning the blockade, as well as the numerous voices that inside and outside the U.S. are calling for the end of this policy. We would like to take this opportunity to convey our greetings to Benin, Liberia from Gambia. May this occasion serve to reiterate our profound gratitude for him to uphold his militant commitment with the Cuban people and revolution. We invite you to enjoy from the interpretation of Comrade Tor Ukok, known as Mambisa, a cultural and revolutionary African worker from Nigeria and a big friend of Cuba, awarded with the Medal of Friendship by Cuba. Let us enjoy of the traditional modern music group of the Nigerian group led by Tor Ukok. I will conclude by quoting the eternal and historical leader of the Revolution of Cuba, Fidel, when he expressed at the closing session of the 7th Congress of the Party in Cuba, and I quote, "To our brothers and sisters of the world, we should say that the Cuban people shall overcome. We will march on and we will perfect whatever needs to be perfected, always loyal to a united strength as Martí, Maceo, and Gomez in an unstoppable march. Long live the Cuban Revolution. Long live solidarity and brotherhood among peoples. Always onwards to victory." Thank you very much. Thus, we close the Forum of Africa and the Middle East, and we invite you to meet again at 1 o'clock to participate in the Forum of Latin America. Thank you very much.
My name is Comrade Uko Mambisa. I celebrate this International Workers' Day, 1st of May, with you, the working people of Cuba, revolutionary working people of Cuba. In Africa and in Nigeria, we solidarize with the people of Cuba in their determination to have the freedom to decide how they govern themselves. The democracy of Cuba is a shining example to the world. The solidarity of Cuba is what we are proud of. A luta continua, a victoria es cierta. Like Che will say, hasta la victoria siempre.
Zimbabwe.